Want to share a thought today from a lesson I borrowed from a CEO, and this is not one of the main companies people normally associate me working with, who I briefly worked with many years ago. Mostly he was an aggressive, scary, really unpleasant human being, but he had at least one thing he said that I found really, really helpful. And it comes from this case where he had funded a game, not my game, and the game had extremely not gone well, right? I mean, it just in terms of it was not going to make back an investment. I don't even know if they ever actually, if the developer he was working with for that project ever released or something. But the kind of way he handled it was shrugging and saying, it's tuition, right? Because he spent money for learning. Because now he knows something he didn't know before. Now, in that case, it might have actually been don't work with a developer. It might have been something about that approach was janky. But I found that to be such a great way to think about when we attempt something. And sometimes, what we spend may not even be money. We may have just spent time or effort or energy on something and then figured out, it didn't go the way I hoped. A nice way to reframe that is as long as I've learned from it, then the cost of what I put into it, which again could be money, could be effort, could be a variety of things, could be somebody else doubting our recommendations for restaurants or something. But when we've put into something and it doesn't quite come out the way we wanted, seeing that as a form of tuition, no different than any other time we pay for help learning something. We've gained new knowledge from that expense, even if this isn't what we went into it for, or at least we didn't come away empty-handed. This is actually inspired from by me today. I saw one of these offers and I get hammered a lot of ads, right? I mean, when you run an online business, there's a whole bunch of infrastructure, back-end support services, platforms, various kind of things you don't necessarily have to see to recognize what's going on behind the scenes for my podcast, my video courses, and the groups that I run, and the training sessions, and the scheduling, and lots of different pieces of kind of stringing these things together to make this kind of business work, right? Well, so I saw one of these offers as getting hammered with constantly, and it was like, hey, a lot of the companies are charging monthly for this. We're going to try to give you a one-time cost. And I knew that was probably too good to be true. I mean, I think often we kind of get a sense for probably is, but it was also affordable enough. I was like, maybe I'll at least investigate, update my understanding, because be pleasantly surprised if it works well as I hope. And, otherwise I might just figure out that, in fact, not going to hold water. But in that case, I saw my cost of at least investigating it as tuition. And sure enough, it's actually very much did not work. On any of the platforms it's supposed to work on, it froze, it didn't start, a spinning load signal literally is still failing on this screen because I'm just kind of curious if it'll ever unstick from what it's supposed to be doing. But it just became a very hopeful moment for me where I was like, oh, shoot, I got duped by the ad. I spent a little bit of money, and again, reasonable, fortunately, to try this thing out, and kind of disappointed of that would have been nice if it worked. But also recognizing then the reality of part of what happens, right? I mean, and I understand this is the side of what I do as a teacher. When something is charged for consistently, then it can be much more higher engagement, involvement, availability, human contact actually needs to be supported. What winds up happening is these companies, when they try to take something that really should be paid for consistently over time by the people using it for as long as they're using it, and they turn it into something where there's a one-time cost, and then it's just supposed to have indefinite access to it. Well, the reality is sometimes that can't be maintained at the same caliber and quality and deliver on services and support and other kind of things. And so, anyway, just as kind of a moment that affected me. Even in this case, going into it, recognizing I can take this chance and understand that if nothing else, I'm going to learn something about the platform, about the alternatives, about clear sense of the landscape. Increasingly, part of what I also end up doing is, in addition to teaching game developers, occasionally I have more people who are also running online businesses, online education stuff, online independent content creation of various kinds, coming to me for at least advice or perspective on another way of doing things, looking at things I've solved along the way. And, so sometimes I even recognize if I get that learning, if I pay that tuition, sometimes the value isn't just knowledge to myself, but knowledge I can pass on to others. But I just want to share that thought today, that when something doesn't go the way you hoped from the effort, energy, time put into it, and sometimes, again, it's months of effort on a game project, right? Well, okay, then that cost was tuition for the knowledge gained. And in many ways, that can be actually better for you in the long run. It's just the knowledge that accumulates from a variety of tuitions that we pay. Anyway, that's it for the day. Thanks for hanging out, catching up. And, as always, if you want to learn more about my approach to game development, gamedevtraining.com. Totally free weekly email series. That's going great. Got lots of people been signing up for that. And we'd happy to have you join us on that sequence. That's it for now. Catch you another time. Bye for now.